Hey guys, welcome back to Ferrigno Freedom channel. I'm Dante Ferrigno. For those of you who are returning, I sure do appreciate you being here each and every time. For those of you who are new, welcome for the first time. I hope you'll enjoy this video, and if you're interested in getting healthy, you might want to take a look at my very first video, 125 Days on Lion Diet, because that was the change in my life that started everything moving in the right direction, especially with regards to my health. Doing the little things that I'm talking about when it comes to changing your lifestyle based on looking at what is wrong with our food and deciding which way you're going to go. Should I put this in my mouth? Should I put this in my children's mouths? Should I be feeding this to my family? Should I be eating this myself if I'm supposed to be taking care of my family? And today, the topic I want to focus on is seed oils. A lot of people don't know the term seed oils refers to vegetable oil, the Wesson oil, the canola oil, the sunflower oil, the safflower oil, all the oils you can buy in the store. Olive oil can get oxidized and cause problems as well, but it's definitely the least problematic of all of them. And probably the only thing that really makes it problematic is the ability to verify whether you're actually getting extra virgin olive oil and if it's been transported to you that hasn't been oxidized. Generally, your seed oils, those are the things that are just not natural. And we've talked about this before. We've talked about the history of seed oils and how they came from the industrial lubricant realm. Well, this video that I got here to take a look at, it's called Seed Oil Converts to Plastic. And this is apparently somebody who does chemistry type stuff. So I don't know what to expect right at this moment, but we're going to take a look at it here. I found something recently that I didn't know Redmond was making, and it's called earth powder. Earth powder is bentonite clay, non-GMO xylitol, sea salt, peppermint essential oil, and menthol. I just want to say that earth powder has become my favorite toothpaste, and since it's made by the same company that I buy my favorite salt from, Redmond, I can definitely recommend it to you too. So if you're looking for something that's great for keeping your teeth clean and not full of all kind of chemicals and fluoride and stuff that you don't need in your body, check out Earth Powder at redmond.life, and you can use my discount code Dante, D-A-N-T-E, to save 15% on your order.
The shop today, some citizen sciencery. Seed oils, are they really that bad? What's the mechanism? What makes them bad? In this seldom seen corner of the shop on the welding bench is a hot plate. We are going to use a multitudinous array, oils, tinctures, and fats in order to heat them up, add some secatives or some metallic ions to them to try and get the linoleic acid to polymerize. That is, it turns to plastic. This is where the word linoleum flooring comes from. It was made from linseed oil. You see that? That was Earl, and now it's plastic. Linseed oil, of course, this is boiled, so it's not straight linseed oil, and it's also had a secative added, which means a drying agent, and potentially some sort of metallic ion as a catalyst. What we're trying to do is get the long chain linoleic acid, to break off a chunk. And then it's got a free radical that grabs on to one of its neighbor, and it turns into a plastic. 15 milliliters of good Canadian canola oil, another 15 milliliters, that's a teaspoon of the same canola oil rapeseed. And we're going to add just a smidge of iron powder to stimulate being in a cast iron pot. That's that metallic ion works as a catalyst in order to get that one bond to break down so it can go ahead and polymerize. We got the Kirkland Country Club olive oil, extra virgin. Membership is expensive, but it's the only country club would let us in. Then from the beautiful city of Ronda in España, we have some proper olive oil. It's where H.G. Wells retired and is buried. Chief propagandist of the Anglo-American Empire. I've been there. Gorgeous. Go before the crowds. Shoulder season. Like some pure lard, animal fat, rendered from the fruit of the pig. Not so pure with lard, BHA, BHT, and citric acid. You know it's good when they can't write it out whole. Known by the state of cancer to cause California. I mean, it came from an animal. It can't be any good for you.
I'm surprised he's putting lard in with this to see how it does different. Now, I am even more surprised to see the ingredients that were in the lard that he had. Citric acid, man, that's manufactured citric acid. I have made several videos talking about this, is not what you think it is. It's like so many ingredients in our food that you look at it and you think, oh, that's good, right? That's in oranges or whatever. But it's actually not made from anything that has to do with oranges. It comes from a black mold called Aspergillus niger. I might be pronouncing it wrong. I often pronounce things wrong. I'm just a layperson here, but I'm learning and I'm sharing my knowledge with you as I learn. Citric acid is one of the most inflammatory things that we could consume because of the source that it comes from. And anytime you see a label that has citric acid on the ingredients, you can almost guarantee 99.999% of the time that it is made from that same Aspergillus niger. From the research I've done, it's pretty much universal the way citric acid works. And that thing with linoleic acid and linoleum being tied together like that, that is insane to me. Wow.
This test is going to be published on Tinternets, viewed by hundreds of thousands of people, and commented on. It is peer-reviewed by tens of dozens of brainiacs way smarter than I is. Just a pinch of man glitter. Metal ions. Also known as grinding dust. I'll crank her up to about 200, 210. We're starting to melt. We're going to watch a couple things. The linoleic acid content determines how much these will polymerize, how much they'll plasticize. That's an indication of how much they have oxidized. However, that linoleic acid, as it comes up to its smoke temperature, it evolves a toxic compound they developed for the First World War as a neurotoxin, as a kind of mustard gas alternative. Acrolein it's called, and you can't get away from it. That's why if you ever have a linseed oil-soaked rag fire, it smokes like crazy beforehand, and you notice it because it stinks to high heaven. It's also very, very acrid. Linoleic acid has been a nutritional supplement for you. In fact, the American Heart Association, they advise people to replace saturated fats like butter and lard with this linoleic acid in order to reduce cardiovascular disease. I mean, the American Heart Association, they're right up there with the food pyramid, right? I grew up eating 2 bowls of cereal with skim milk to set me up proper for the day of being hungry. So the thing is about canola oil is it was developed, it's rapeseed, and it was used in the First and Second World War as an industrial lubricant. And it works really well because it's a surfactant. It lowers the surface tension of other fluids, and it also sticks to wet metal. So the US Navy and all the navies around the world, they needed a lot of rapeseed oil. They got farmers to grow it, and then after the fact, all these farmers grow, what are we going to do after the war with all this surplus rapeseed? Well, nobody's going to buy rapeseed. We got to change the name of it, so it came to Canadian canola oil. They tried to feed it. Pigs would gain a whole bunch of weight on this stuff, and then they'd start dropping weight, and then they'd die. It wasn't good for them. They tested further, and apparently it gives the sows who are nursing their young piglets myocardial lipidosis. It ain't good. And the thinking is in humans, now I'm not a doctor, have you taken medical advice from the internet? But also, if you're taking medical advice from your doctor, but the canola plant is a brassica. That is, it's a wild mustard. Now, wild mustard is an amazing plant. It gives us broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi, kale, mustard, sag, cabbage. Brussels sprouts also gives us Brussels sprouts. Those are all very high, the seeds that is, in erucic acid, which is highly inflammatory, it's toxic. So canola oil couldn't be used after the war until they got that toxicity down. Now it's limited at 2%. I think it's super inflammatory, and that might be why we never ate canola oil in the past. But they've engineered it, or rather selectively bred, in order to reduce that down to the 2% maximum at the...
You know, I don't know anything about this guy's science channel, but I like, or if his channel is completely dedicated to science, it looks like it is based on his setup here. It's amazing to hear somebody saying exactly what he's saying. Yes, you want to be careful taking advice from the internet. That's why I tell you, I'm just a regular guy. I'm a layman that's doing this. But I've turned my life around, making better health decisions for myself by going on a carnivore way of eating. I can tell you this much when it comes to listening to your doctor. If the first thing they want to do is prescribe and they haven't asked you anything about your nutrition or what you're eating, you need to find another doctor. That's my opinion. You need somebody who's a healer, not a dealer. Let's go on.
We've engineered it, or rather selectively bred, in order to reduce that down to the 2% maximum that the US and Europe requires for human consumption. We're up to temperature. We'll let this chooch for the rest of the day, see what happens, and then we will increase the temperature in order to get that acrolein to devolve, and through the magic of smell-o-vision, you'll be able to see the burning, acrid, choking fumes what come off as canola polymerizes. Getting some Maynard reaction, or just caramelization of any residual sugars in there, any lactose in there, and the pig belly also. It's just about rendered down, so I'll pop that out. This guy, we could have used ghee as well, but I don't have any, which is clarified butter. They take all the solids out and any kind of sugar and stuff, and they use it as a cooking oil. I would like tallow. It's hard to get. I don't raise any beef at the moment, so rendering tallow, it's expensive, but maybe it's expensive because it's worth it.
It is definitely worth it to render some tallow, but I wouldn't say it's terribly expensive. At $5 a pound, buying suet from my local butcher, it can be a little expensive that way, but I also get whole cows processed sometimes, and I'll have them pack all the suet into 1 pound bags so that I can use that suet to add fat to things, or I can render it down, make it into tallow to use for cooking oil, or even to make snacks like pemmican. So yeah, tallow is wonderful. It is a little bit of a process. You know, some people don't have the patience for or the time. So that's one of the reasons why I like some of the companies that I buy tallow from, like South Chicago Packing Company has a Wagyu beef tallow that I love to use occasionally. It's got a wonderful flavor to it. And then I also use skin cream that is tallow based by a company called Vintage Tradition. And you may have seen some of the commercials that I've had for them in the past. And I make those commercials because I love their product. And I love that they're making the most of the animal that's available. The fact that we're eating a lot of meat, we're making full use of these animals who died to give us this life that we have. So it's best that you don't let anything go to waste, in my opinion. And that's one of the reasons I love Vintage Tradition. And if you're interested in getting any of those skin cream products that I use a tallow bar soap that they have. I use a tallow balm on my skin. I use their tallow chapstick, and it's fantastic. So check out vintagetradition.com, and you can use my discount code Dante to save 10% on your order. And let's roll again with this so we can see. I love what this guy is saying. I have never heard his show before, but it's kind of exciting to see where he's taking it.
Let the slipshod mise en place fool you. We have some of the finest analytical instruments at our disposal. That is our taste buds and our nose, our olfactory system. We can smell when something's up. Now, something's up. Not only was acrolein used in the First World War as a chemical weapon, it's also used currently as a biocide in water. 10 ppm, parts per million, in water kills everything. So there's something in there. Here's the thing. When you taste, for instance, you taste a peanut seed. The oil from that is pretty tasty because you taste the peanut seed. There's no bitterness. You know, the kids, we go out and forage in the forest on our hikes. I tell them, you go ahead and try any berry you want. It's not gonna, one berry's not gonna kill you. You stick it in your mouth and it tastes like dog poop, spit it out. Don't keep eating it. You have a system, a taste bud system, an olfactory system that protects you from danger. If it's super bitter, there's a reason it doesn't taste good. It's because it's full of poison. So the peanut seed, delicious. A canola seed, super bitter. Might not be the best thing to eat. Olive oil, delicious. Coconut oil, delicious. Butter, delicious. Lard, delicious. Grapeseed, horrible. Maybe not the best thing for you. Maybe there's something in there, some sort of embittering compound that ain't so good for you. In the spirit of invoking science as a deity, I'm going to take a hoot off each of these. Butter, quite nice, even with the browning. Canola, quite acrid. Lard, nothing to it. Coconut. Oh, that's lovely. Just a vague hint of the tropics. Hula skirts. Bacon, meaty. Oh, that's interesting. This Costco oil has precipitated some shmoo or polymerized into some globules. That's, it's halfway between the canola and the cocoa. Slightly acrid, unpleasant. The olive oil from Rwanda has some terpenes in it. It's quite sharp, but it's not a cooking oil. It's a salad oil. Peanut, lovely. Now, canola and iron, yeah, quite acrid. Chemically smell. It smells like, very much like linseed oil. There's a very marked difference in coloration now at 240 degrees Science for a couple hours. The canola is quite dark. The rendered pig fat is quite dark. The lard is see-through. The butter, other than its solids, the clarified ghee portion is very clear. Coconut oil, crystal clear. The olive oil for Rwanda, crystal clear. The canola oil and iron, quite dark, and the regular canola oil, quite dark. Peanut oil, quite light. One thing that's interesting to me, very interesting, is how this canola oil, or rather olive oil from Costco, from the Kirkland Country Club, it appears to be polymerizing. That's solid in there. That's not viscous anymore. I can see the lardon.
I got to say, I've had many an argument with people over olive oil because there are some good things about olive oil, as I mentioned at the beginning, but because it's so hard to get them transported to us without getting oxidized, so even if it's cold pressed, the shipping itself, the heat in the containers, because a lot of this stuff comes from Italy and Spain and from across the ocean. Well, how do you think they get it here? It's going to have some effect on it transported in those boats with all the heat that can be in there. And then also exposure to light can affect olive oil. So there's a couple of factors, but then also olive oil, it's very often that it's counterfeited because there's so much money to be made in olive oil. It's easy to counterfeit it, just like honey. Honey is another one where you can't hardly get authentic honey unless you know the guy's got his own set of bees and you watch him actually take them out of there, because it's something that's often substituted with sugary liquid. I don't know the exact ingredients that they use, but it's not honey ultimately. So that's the problem that I've always had with olive oil, and one of the reasons why I don't use it. I use tallow for everything.
The rendered pork fat is smoking, so I'm going to take that one off. It's getting pretty gnarly. We have the Costco olive oil smoking. I'm going to take that one off. the proprietary blend from Ronda, España. The beautiful color and not smoking. Olive oil from Ronda is now smoking, and it's starting to turn a little bit yellow. So despite the olive oil from Ronda smoking, it's still not acrid. Same cannot be said for the Kirkland Country Club version. The butter is starting to smoke, but the ghee is quite clear. I'll set that one aside. The peanut oil is just starting to smoke now, and it is turning color. I'm going to remove the canolas. They are getting a little bit much. Quite acrid. There's the straight canola. There's a bit of salt on the bottom of the Petri, but you see there's no plasticizing. It has not polymerized. However, with the addition of the catalyst, that is the iron, the canola has polymerized. So
Wow.
bear that in mind if you're using it in a cast iron pot or a steel pot or a metal pot of any kind, because that reaction requires a metal catalyst. So cost benefit wise, I'm going to stick with good old peanut oil for the occasional French fry or bannock fry up. I would like to get some tallow, and we'll test that. And this Kirkland Country Club olive oil has plasticized.
Wow.
Despite the one from Ronda, the olive oil from Ronda, not plasticizing. In the interim, thanks for watching.
Awesome. That was an interesting look at how these oils, what's going on inside of them chemically, and what's going on inside of your body chemically when you eat them. I personally am still going to stay away from peanut oil, even though it didn't get plasticized or stink any. It's just that peanuts don't have anything that I'm looking for in them that I've found. I do great just eating meat, but the point of this was to let you take a closer look at what's going on inside these oils. And I figure if it's got the ability to turn into plastic, it's probably something you want to stay away from, even if it doesn't always turn into plastic. There's no doubt that eating French fries and peanut oil is not going to be healthy for you. So if you want to stay healthy, if you want to live the best life you can, if you want to have a good life, carnivore is a great way to go, because it has changed everything for me. Now, I know there's other diets out there that people like. There's keto, ketovore. Some people go vegetarian and vegan. And getting rid of all those ultra-processed foods is a huge step in the right direction. But when you go vegan and vegetarian, you're still not going to be getting the nutrients that you need that are only going to be found in meat. A lot of the nutrients that are found in both meat and vegetables are much higher in quantities in meat, the ones that you need. Now, there's a few nutrients that are lower in meat, like say vitamin C. But when you're not consuming sugar, it turns out you don't need a lot of vitamin C. If that were the case, I would have gotten sick a few times in the past 2 years. I have spent all of 24 hours with an illness in the past 2 years. And prior to that, I was used to getting sick at least one time at the beginning of the year when winter switched to spring, and then also again when summer switches to fall. Now, they tend to both still affect my allergies, but I used to get an upper respiratory infection or the flu at least once, twice, or 3 times a year. I would get some kind of illness. I have experienced the best immunity response that I have ever experienced in my life. My wife and kids will come home with some kind of cough. I mean, who knows what they've been diagnosed with. My wife has not yet been diagnosed with COVID even one time, even though she had all the symptoms. So who knows what they're diagnosing. But the bottom line is they got heavy cough. They may have a slight fever. They might have a runny nose, chest congestion. They can be coughing around me, and I can go through it and not get sick. I used to be the first one to get sick. And that's because I've switched to a carnivore way of eating that has just boosted my immune system, boosted my ability to think clearly, given me the tools that I need to be able to take control of my life again. One of the things when I started dropping the weight off going on a carnivore way of eating is I had the energy to want to exercise. And I decided I'm going to use that energy to take care of this body. Now that I'm losing weight, I need to put some muscle back on. And I've had my battles with that, just like anybody does when they go on any type of exercise plan. But it has not gotten any worse. And in 4 years, nearly 4 years, it's been 3 years and 9 months that I've been eating this way. I still feel fantastic. I'm the lowest weight I've been in my adult life. Carnivore has allowed me to be able to take control of that and live the best life I can possibly have. And it can probably do exactly the same thing for you. For almost everybody that I've seen, if they do it right and they stick with it and they don't make excuses and they don't find reasons to cheat all the time, they're going to experience the benefits that they're looking for. I started this way of eating because of pain that I had in my gut, because of leaky gut and the seeping in of toxins into my system, causing problems throughout my entire body. All of that is gone. In addition, I lost close to 100 pounds. I don't have high blood pressure anymore. I don't have any GERD issues. I don't have any of the other medicines that I was taking before. My testosterone recovered. So there are a lot of things to be said about a carnivore way of eating, and getting rid of seed oils is one of the best parts about a carnivore way of eating. But yet, when you look it up on YouTube and you see people cooking a steak or cooking burgers, they're pouring that oil in the pan. You don't need it. I thought you needed it. I'm betting there's a lot of people out there that thought you needed to put some oil in the pan or on the grill or whatever. You don't need that stuff. It's making your food even less healthy for you, and it's probably making it taste worse. Because whenever I've had a steak, I only use salt. I don't use any marinades. I don't use any oils, just salt. And they have been the best steaks I have ever tasted in my life. I rarely go to a restaurant, period. Let's just end it with that. I rarely go to a restaurant because I found that if I want to get the healthiest food, it's got to be me making it. But also when I've gone to restaurants, even when I've been to top dollar restaurants and spend close to $100 on a New York strip steak, I said I could have made a better steak than this at home and spent 1/10 the price. Because I'm not going to use seed oils. I'm not going to use Vegeline to spray the grill. I'm not going to add marinades and other flavors and other things that have nothing to do with the value and flavor of meat and what it does for your body. So anyway, if you're interested in seeing how I make some of those different meats and stuff, you can check out some of my videos in I have a playlist that has to do with me cooking things. So if you're interested in seeing those, you can check out that playlist. And you can see a lot of my journey, starting with 125 days on Lion Diet. You can also see a lot of information at ferrignofreedom.com, including an opportunity to tell me your story. If you've had a carnivore experience that has changed everything for you, you can apply to come on my channel with a carnivore conversation and tell your story, because those stories, the story that you have of how it changed you, is going to help somebody else out there that's exactly where you were when you started. Also on my website is an option where you can see the different food items or the cooking items that I use. The tools that I use to be on a carnivore way of eating are listed on my website. That way you can find things that, you're trying to figure out: what kind of pan do I need? What kind of butter do I need? What kind of salt do I need? What type of exercise equipment is going to be inexpensive but long-term useful? I try to put that stuff on that page as often as I can to let you know what I'm using and what I found that works. And I don't really put what I have found that doesn't work, but if you watch a lot of my older videos, you can see some of the things I've experimented with and then left behind. But that's all I wanted to tell you guys about today, to take a look at this. I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts about this. So please leave a comment in the comment section, and I will see you next time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?
Hey, it's Dante Ferrigno. I just wanted to thank you first of all for watching this video, but I also wanted to tell you about my merch shop. I have a link in the description for a bunch of different items I've put together for you to be able to show your support for the carnivore lifestyle, and every purchase helps me to keep doing what I'm doing here on Ferrigno Freedom.